In the year 1904, firefighters rushed to the Manhattan Adventurers Society due to smoke emerging from a room. As one firefighter reaches for the doorknob, his hand starts to freeze. When the firefighter breaks the door down, they get shocked that the room is filled with dozens of frozen corpses while an unknown language plays from a phonograph. In the shadows, a mysterious figure holds an orb containing an ancient evil. As the orb closes, the frozen bodies in the room shatter, and a pair of eyes stare out from within the orb. In the present day, the Spenglers, named Callie, Phoebe, and Trevor, along with Mr. Gruberson, have moved to Manhattan from Somerville to become full-time Ghostbusters. They are chasing a ghost called the Sewer Dragon through the streets. Trevor nearly traps it before it starts to fly out of range, but Callie sets out a drone trap, which is able to capture the ghost. However, Gruberson ends up crashing into a rack of city bikes. The family meets Walter Peck, who used to give the Ghostbusters a hard time but is now the mayor of New York City. He scolds them for causing trouble in the city and for having Phoebe, who is still young and is working with them. The news picks up the story, making the Ghostbusters look bad again. Gruberson, who's dating Callie, tries to be like a dad to Phoebe and Trevor, but Phoebe isn't fully accepting him yet. Team Busters return to their headquarters, which is being bankrolled by Winston. Phoebe's parents try to convince her to leave ghost hunting for 3 years, promising that she can start again afterward. Hearing this, Phoebe becomes sad because she loves ghost hunting. Gruberson and Callie help each other trap the ghost and send it to the afterlife using the containment unit. Ray and Podcast are trying to use artifacts from other customers to forge a connection to the afterlife for their new online show. A woman provides a watch belonging to her late husband for Ray to try to communicate with him, but he gets nothing, and Podcast simply smashes the watch with a hammer. They are visited by Nadim Razmati, who wants to sell them an orb that belonged to her grandmother. Ray uses a PKE meter on it to check if something is inside, but the energy emitted from the orb causes a surge that not only breaks the meter but also triggers an earthquake that nearly bursts the containment unit. Gruberson talks to Janine about the containment unit and asks why this happened. She explains that they have been storing ghosts since 1984, so it's now full. Meanwhile, Trevor spots green slime from upstairs and goes to find a mountain of junk food. He then meets Slimer, who flies through Trevor and covers him in goo before he disappears. Phoebe plays chess by herself in the park when one of the chess pieces starts moving on its own. Suddenly, a ghost girl named Melody appears and tells Phoebe that she died in a fire, which is why she has small flames on her body. She also expresses uncertainty about being able to move on to the afterlife before disappearing. After examining the containment unit in HQ, the Ghostbusters team arrives at a ghost research facility also funded by Winston. They've hired a parabiologist named Lars Pinfield. Lucky is working there too, and she reunites with Trevor. Winston talks about the new containment unit they've been developing and gives them a tour of the facility, where they've imprisoned some ghosts as well. At HQ, a call comes in and Phoebe answers. She and Podcast head out to check it out. When they reach the diner, Phoebe realizes that the troublesome ghost is Melody. Podcast gears up to trap her, but Phoebe hesitates. She doesn't want to capture Melody, so she manages to escape. At the research facility, Lars and Lucky place the orb inside the containment unit. When they attempt to extract the energy source from the orb, all the confined ghosts start acting up, as if they're drawn to it. The facility faces a power surge due to this disturbance. As Lars tries to grab the orb, his arm is almost frozen off, indicating the dangerous power within. Melody pays Phoebe a surprise visit at her home, and Phoebe apologizes for attempting to trap her. Phoebe then gives Melody a tour of the HQ, including the containment unit. Just as Phoebe's mom calls her, Melody mysteriously disappears into thin air. Outside, Melody finds herself alone on the streets, speaking to a growling voice and asking if Phoebe is really the one he wants for his plan. The team heads to Nadim's house to gather more information about the orb. Nadim shows them a back room lined with brass, a material thought to have ghost-trapping powers. As Phoebe scans the room with the PKE meter, she makes a surprising discovery. Nadim himself is emitting spiritual energy. Lars and Lucky decide to take Nadim to Venkman for additional investigation. During their research, they uncover that Nadim possesses the extraordinary ability to control fire, particularly when provoked by Venkman. Phoebe and Podcast join Ray in going to the New York Public Library to learn more about the orb's origins. They meet an expert named Dr. Hubert, who explains it to them. Centuries earlier, a power-mad king sought help from a powerful entity called Garaka in his conquest, but Garaka had his own plans to use his powers to bring forth a new ice age. A team known as the Fire Masters used their powers to imprison Garaka in the orb and steal his horns, which gave him his power. If Garaka becomes free once more, New York will experience the death chill born from their fear. Hubert then reveals a magic spell in MP3 format that was played in 1904 by rich people, which accidentally opened up the orb. Later, all of them were found frozen to death. A ghost that sneaked along with Podcast seizes the recording in the garbage bag and runs off with it. They all chase the ghost to catch it, but the ghost escapes outside and possesses the lion's statue of fortitude. Phoebe swiftly acts, using her proton pack to obliterate the statue just before the police arrive. Peck seizes this opportunity to intensify his campaign against the Ghostbusters, leading to the condemnation of the firehouse and the repossession of their equipment. Phoebe's refusal to yield to Peck's demands puts her in trouble, resulting in her arrest. Winston gets angry at Ray for putting Phoebe and Podcast in danger. Melody visits Phoebe again, as she wants to be alone. After they talk some more, Phoebe decides to find a way for her and Melody to be on the same physical plane by briefly separating her spirit from her body for 2 minutes. The procedure works, and Phoebe becomes a ghost. However, this is when Melody reveals her true intentions. She is working for Garaka, who cannot use a ghost like her to open the orb. Therefore, he needed a living person to do the job for him. In exchange for helping Melody cross over to be with her family, Garaka possesses Phoebe's body to speak the incantation, and the demon ghost comes back to life. Phoebe's spirit returns to her body as the rest of the team tries to help her. Lucky attempts to fire a proton blast at Garaka, but he freezes and shatters the stream. Callie and Gruberson assist Phoebe while Ray, Winston, and Janine also arrive. They realize Garaka is going to try and free the other ghosts for his death chill plan to take effect. Garaka rushes to Nadim's home and takes back his horn, making himself stronger. Soon after, everything starts to freeze over and produce hundreds of deadly icicles that nearly kill people. Everyone makes it to the research lab to get equipment before Venkman and Nadim join in the fight. Ray tries to get Nadim to find a way to tap into his Firemaster abilities to help fight Garaka. Meanwhile, the Possessor Ghost returns and tries to kill everyone by possessing a proton pack, but Nadim is able to redirect the blast out of the window with his powers. The ghost then possesses Pizza and is promptly devoured by Slimer. Lucky tells Phoebe that regular proton blasts won't be enough against Garaka, so Phoebe lines her blaster with brass to defeat Garaka. Garaka makes his way to the facility, and the Ghostbusters fight him with everything they have, but he traps them in ice. Nadim tries to use his fire powers on Garaka, but he has run out of lighter fluid since he was practicing with it a lot. Downstairs, Phoebe tells Melody that she does not need Garaka to send her to the afterlife. Phoebe confronts Garaka with her brass-lined blaster. She manages to strike Garaka, but he still overpowers her. Melody then uses her flame to light a match for Nadim, allowing him to use his powers to bend fire against Garaka. The Ghostbusters are freed, but Garaka breaks open the containment unit, unleashing every ghost the team has ever captured. However, this leads the old Ghostbusters to realize that Garaka has just created an even bigger containment unit. The Ghostbusters fire their proton blasts alongside Nadim's fire bending, and Garaka is quickly brought down and dehorned once again as he becomes trapped. The ice outside begins to disappear, and Melody finally crosses over after saying goodbye to Phoebe. The Ghostbusters are considered heroes once again, and Peck also cheers for them due to public pressure. Slimer and the sewer dragon emerge from the facility, and they get back to their business. During the credits, mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Men steal a truck from the official Stay Puft Company, adding a touch of mischief to the scene before the story ends. If you enjoy this wild tale of nighttime antics, give it a thumbs up, hit that share button to spread the horror, drop a comment with your favorite part, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more adventures straight out of the imagination.